Democratic Senator Bernie Sanders said the quiet part out loud during an interview with NBC's Kristen Welker. Let's watch.
Described Vice President Kamala Harris as a progressive. She has previously supported Medicare for all. Now she does not. She's previously supported a ban on fracking. Now she does not. These, Senator, are ideas that you have campaigned on. Do you think that she is abandoning her progressive ideals?
No, I don't think she's abandoning her ideals. I think she's trying to be pragmatic and doing what she thinks is right in order to win the election. My own view is slightly different. I think that in America today there are a lot of people, rural people, working class people, who no longer believe that the United States Congress and government represents their interests, too dominated by big money interests.
I should note, of course, Bernie Sanders is an independent senator who caucuses with the Democrats, not actually a Democrat. Look, I mean, I always appreciate Bernie Sanders. I don't agree with him on the vast majority of issues. I agree with him every now and then. But he's a pretty frank, plain-spoken person. And yeah, I think what he's saying there is like, look, it goes to what I said earlier in the show. Some of what she was forced to embrace during the progressive rebranding of the party in 2019 and 2020 is not popular, and now she's backing away from it. I think Bernie would say that the kinds of things that he runs on, the left issues he represents, he would argue they are popular. Medicare for all, expanding minimum wage, more economic benefits for working class people. I think some of those things are, well, I think sometimes there's no connection between whether something's popular and whether it's a good policy idea.
Sure.
I think the way you present ideas can make them more popular and less popular. Right, if you say we're going to increase everyone's health care coverage, make it easier for them, make them pay less, make it more affordable, and we call it Medicare for all, do you want that? Everyone's going to say it sounds great. If you say, and it's going to result in shortages and rationing of care and longer lines, it'll be more like Canada when they come here.
Fairly large deficit as well.
Yeah, do you like that idea? They say no. And so, of course, then the question, well, how do we get people more affordable care, more access to health care coverage? Nobody wants people, car accident, dying in the street because they don't have health care coverage. Nobody wants that. How do we give people more coverage without having some of the shortages and price rationing, or having the price go through the roof because now it's subsidized? All the problems that are characteristic of other systems is a difficult policy question. But I appreciate him saying there that, yeah, she's running away from the really obviously unpopular ideas.
And we see this process often play out, too, when you pivot from a primary to general. Of course, she did not go through that primary. She did
lucky
in
her.
2020, right, to your point earlier in the show, in terms of taking some of those positions. But we see this oftentimes when people pivot back to the center. We're seeing a little bit with the former president on the question of abortion, right? Now heading into the general election, 57 days out today, in terms of a lot has been made about his shifting positions on that critical issue. But it's this balancing act, to your point, where she was in favor of a number of these things. And I think we had that transparent answer from Bernie Sanders. She's running to win, right? And these are the issues and the stances that he believes she needs to take in order to be successful.
I mean, I absolutely believe that she cares more about winning than she does about any specific policy, right? She's not someone... Bernie Sanders clearly does care about a certain set of policies. He thinks they would be better for the country. I don't think they would be better for the country, but he absolutely does.
And he didn't win, right? So he's like an ideologue that, and was fun, I think, because I think at the end of the day would tell you, I didn't lose any sleep or any element of my character positioning myself. I'm still the same Bernie Sanders that was mayor of Burlington.
She would reinvent herself any number of times in order to be president. And she is certainly doing that. And you're right that Donald Trump has also changed over the course of his trajectory as a public figure, he's obviously changed dramatically. He was formerly a Democrat.
Formerly a Democrat, super pro-choice.
Clearly was pro-choice, then had to get the endorsement from evangelical people, and is now again emphasizing, he says he is pro-life, but is emphasizing that there will be no national abortion policy. And I feel like the media treats this like it's a flip-flop, even though I don't think it is. He's said that, you can think, as I do, for instance, that Roe v. Wade was not a correctly decided Supreme Court decision, and from a legal standpoint, and that abortion should be left up to the states.
Ruth Bader Ginsburg said similar things as the true progressive on the court, that there were legal issues
100%.
with the sounding in that case.
And his position is, and I agree with him, that there should be no there's not consensus on this issue, and it's not the job of the federal government to decide it. So there should certainly not be a federal national abortion policy. The states will decide, and the states so far are deciding, even red states are saying no to very, very strict abortion limits. Maybe in the 10 to 15 weeks category are acceptable to some people, but that's pretty moderate. Even by the standpoint of the rest of the world, that's pretty moderate. That's what European countries have.
And you saw that with Lindsey Graham trying to get his party on that kind of focus around 15 to 20 weeks or
Although
so.
he brought up the idea of the national, which
he brought up the issue
why did he say
unforced
that?
error quite a bit.
Trump has not said that, and Trump has consistently denied that they would do anything about it at the national level, but the media keeps bringing it up because they're obsessed with this as a potential flip-flop. Meanwhile, Kamala Harris has been grilled, I would say, very lightly, when she deigns to do an interview at all, that interview she did with Dana Bash, where Dana did ask her, well, you said this and now you say this. And Kamala said that was not a changing of her values, but it's just different now, and there was no follow-up.
Yeah, I think, I think we give a lot of grief, and it goes back to John Kerry, right? The flip-flopping, the sailboat ad back and forth and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I actually like a politician that learns more, right? Mm-hmm. Things change over time, right? And I think that, we give so many people grief for changing their position on issues. Now, it shouldn't be a radical departure in terms of what people have previously said, because then it speaks to your issue of not really having a core to begin with. But I like when a candidate, shifts somewhat based on where the society is, where the people are, and where that issue is over time. We'll see. Obviously, this is going to play out with David Muir tomorrow in this debate. All eyes are going to be on that. You can rest assured he's going to be asking about some of these policy changes, certainly.
I suppose I want them to flip-flop when I like their new position better.
Me too.
And when I don't agree with the position. Yeah. So there's me saying the quiet part out loud. I didn't like her position on fracking before. I like it better now. I didn't like her position on an electric vehicle mandate. I like it better now. But then it speaks to how will she actually govern, and will there be continuity, because the federal government ends up being staffed with, in my view, deeply progressive people, people who are more committed to, for instance, antitrust is very much happening under the Biden administration, and there's some concern or question of what Kamala Harris is going to do on that. I think she's been trying to reassure some people in the business community that she's going to rein in Lena Khan of the FTC, who's waging this one-woman scorched earth war on every major
certainly important
tech company,
corporate issues, and tech companies especially.
Yes, and I would argue that she's gone much further, much more aggressive on a lot of those things than I'm comfortable with. Bringing government action against companies that people like, and she's saying she's doing this on behalf of the consumer. And well, does the consumer want Amazon and Google to be screwed up or not function for them properly? Maybe they do. I don't know.
Shipping. Yeah.
Maybe they do, but I don't know. It doesn't seem like it to me. But whether she's going to reassure those people at the same time, I saw, Mark Cuban had a lot to say about Kamala Harris,
who's been her
recently.
biggest endorser and surrogate out there.
Big supporter of her, but again saying that the fears the business community has about what she'd do in terms of taxing, unrealized gains, that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
that's never going to happen. You don't have to worry about it. It's not going to happen. It's about not believing what her surrogates say, because we don't hear from her enough.
Yeah.
So we have to try to guess based on what the people around her are saying.
And to some degree, that's been working for her politically, at least in the short term, in terms of her taking over the mantle from Joe Biden. But again, she will certainly be on display tomorrow in this debate.
Yeah. Meanwhile, people on the right say, who are business people who don't want the tariffs that Donald Trump has promised to do, although Biden's done plenty of tariffing himself.
And continued some of the policies of, obviously.
Yes, they're saying, he's not actually going to do those, so don't worry about it, because those tariffs would be ruinous, would wreck a lot of big businesses. I think would be very bad for the economy. I truly don't want them to become policy under Democrats or Republicans.
It's a race to the bottom.
But they're saying that he wouldn't actually do them, so it's like we have to. Are we deluding ourselves into thinking these politicians won't do bad policies that they're promising to do?
And a 50-50 Senate, you can guarantee likely we're not getting any of that.
Maybe we're just not getting
policies.
Maybe we're just not getting anything. And then why does it even matter? It matters just to us, the pundits. More Rising right after this.